I can't believe I'm sharing this story, but it happened, and this needs to be known. My name is Luna, 33 years old, and I was taking care of my husband, Perry, 34 years old, until Isabel, 27 years old, came along and wrecked my life. My husband had a terminal illness that caused him great joint pain, so I tentatively had to care for him. I had to do everything around the house, drive him to his doctor's appointments, and go as far as to help him on and off the toilet. It was getting tiring, but I loved Perry, so his pain was mine. However, the medical bills began to pile up, and I had to take up a second job to sustain our living. He's constantly at the doctor's office, getting checkups and re-examinations, but nothing seems to come of it. Not to mention his medication. It was not cheap. He was always like this, even prior to meeting him, but I fell in love with his wit and strength. Little did I know I would be scorned for it. Since I was taking up a second job, I needed a second pair of hands that would be there when I couldn't be. We decided to hire an in-house nurse. Our health insurance covered half of her expenses. She would work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday. Those were the times I worked both my jobs. When I first met Isabel, I thought she was friendly and caring, but in the pit of my stomach I had a bad feeling. I at first pinned this as jealousy. She was gorgeous, I had to admit. Having her around my husband made me feel a little uneasy, but I kept reminding myself that she's a professional and Perry loves me. What's the worst that can happen? On the first day of her job, I made sure that I called and checked in twice. I wanted to make sure everything was okay. The first time she answered, she sounded pleasantly surprised. She told me everything was fine, and so I was content. However, I did tell her I would call again during my lunch break. But when I did, she didn't answer. I was rather annoyed because I told her verbally that I would be checking in. It was something tiny though, right? I called my husband, who answered after the fourth ring. Hello, honey. Hi, is everything okay? Well, of course it is. Why? Oh, nothing. Is Isabel around? Well, of course, she's making my lunch. Can I talk to her? Yeah. Isabel, Luna's on the phone for you. After a few seconds, Isabel was on the phone. Hi, Mrs. Luna. What did you need? Oh, I wanted to make sure everything was okay. Since it's your first day, I wanted to be sure you are all settled in. Of course, yes, I am. She sounded a little annoyed. Okay, sorry. I thought I told you I would call. She didn't say anything to that, and it got increasingly awkward. We said our goodbyes, and I continued to work. Maybe I was being overly protective, or my intuition told me something was off. When I got home, Isabel and my husband were laughing away in front of the TV. It appeared that they got along well, so I decided that she was the right fit. And that may be I was being overcritical. As days and weeks went on, her happy-go-lucky personality turned rather sour. The first week or so, when I entered, she would have a plate ready for me to eat, which was totally not necessary, but she was so sweet like that. She would say, "Hi, how was work? Good night, you two. I hope you have a restful night." By the third week, she barely even said 2 words to me. And when she would cook for my husband, as he had trouble standing up for too long, she only made enough food for him. So half the time I would have to go back out to grab myself some food or make a late-night dinner. This didn't bother me as much, considering she's not a maid, she is my husband's caregiver. What I didn't like is she didn't even bother to see him or say goodbye anymore. Instead, as soon as I came into the house, she would grab her bag and leave. At first, I thought maybe she was rushing to leave because of how tired she may be. But even when I would say, "Good night, Isabel," her previous smile would drop and a nod would go by the way. Did I do something to offend her? After the 4th week, I decided to talk to my husband about it because it was no longer just plain paranoia. I don't know, I just have a funny feeling about her. Honey, you worry too much. Isabel is a great nurse. I know. I may be overthinking it, but I swear, if I wiped her fake smile, I would see a snarl. If anything comes up, I'll call you, I promise. Okay, please do. Does she treat you well? Of course. She's the best nurse anyone can ask for. That's all I needed to hear. He had to be right. The next day, Perry decided to ask Isabel to stay over for dinner. So it was us 3. Of course, she didn't make me anything, so I picked up some Chinese food. I wanted to get to know her a bit more, since I barely spoke to her. So I thought this was a good idea from Perry. However, it only got worse from then on. So, Isabel, how long have you been a caretaker? A nurse. Excuse me? You said caretaker. I'm a nurse. That's my job description. Oh, yes, sorry. How long have you been a nurse? I thought it was interchangeable, but I guess not. A few years now. How do you like it? Good. I hope my Perry doesn't give you too much trouble. I laughed, trying to soften the mood. Instead, she rolled her eyes before taking a swig from her wine glass. Perry's just fine. We're just fine. We get along well, don't we? She looked right at him, tilting her head for affirmation. Perry nodded. I was quiet for the rest of the dinner as I watched Isabel's conversation with Perry. He laughed with such ease. Once dinner was over, he needed to go to the restroom. I tried helping him from his seat, but Isabel shooed me away. I got him. Oh, no, I insist. You're off the clock. I got it. She smiled painfully and helped him from his chair. I was getting increasingly annoyed by her, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. Perry liked her, and that's all that mattered because he was the one that was getting helped by her and not me. As the days went on, my suspicion of Isabel only grew. This is where things got weird. I got home early from work, so I just went straight home. Why should I tell anyone? It's my house. But when I got inside, I didn't see my husband in the living room or Isabel. Perry! Isabel! I got no answer. I decided to go upstairs straight into my bedroom. Perry was sitting on our bed, drinking something. It was a brown colour. Meanwhile, Isabel stood a few feet away from him, wearing one of my necklaces. Hey, what are you guys doing in here? Sweetheart, you're home early. I ignored him, looking straight at Isabel. Why are you wearing my jewellery? Oh, sorry, I just wanted to try it on. I asked Perry. He said it would be okay. She quickly took it off. The problem is, that necklace was buried in the rest of mine, so she must have dug around for a while to find it. Perry, what are you drinking? Perry scoffed, putting his cup on our bedside table. I walked closer and took a whiff in that direction. It was rum. Alcohol was not good for him in his condition. He knows this, and so does Isabel. Drinking a glass here and there won't kill me, Luna. Your doctor said not to. That's all that matters. Isabel, what the hell is going on? It's not that big of a deal, and he only drinks one every few days. I think you should leave. I need to talk to my husband in private. Honey, this has blown out of proportion. Perry and I had a long conversation after, about his health, Isabel's job performance, and everything in between. He didn't understand my concern and that I caught them in a moment where everything looked shady, but in reality, it was nothing to worry about. I told him that I didn't want her in our bedroom. He told me he can't make promises because she helps him in bed when he wants to take a nap. I contemplated just getting a new nurse entirely, but in order to do that, I would have to state a claim, and at this point, I didn't think Perry was going to back me up. However, as time went on, I began to notice some things in our house went missing. When I mean us, I mean mine. I couldn't find my hairbrush, my favourite necklace. Hell, I couldn't even find my on-the-go coffee mug. But again, if I brought it up to Perry, he would make excuses like I misplaced these objects or left my mug at work. I was getting sick and tired of him continuously making excuses for her. Am I his wife or is she? I decided to take matters into my own hands. On my way home, I went to buy some disguisable cameras and sent them up all around the house in the middle of the night when Perry was asleep. This way, he would have to believe me if he saw her stealing from me. I decided to be extra nice that morning just for the fun of it. As usual, Isabel didn't really care to interact with me. She's been ruder than usual since I told her she needed to leave early. Oh well. I was on my last nerve when I left for work that day. I couldn't wait to get home and view the footage. That night, when Perry was asleep, I took the camera memory cards and plugged them into my laptop. What I saw was the worst thing to imagine. The first camera I reviewed was in the bedroom. I could hear everything. I flashed forward the video until I saw them stepping into the bedroom. Isabel stepped into our room, helping Perry to sit on our bed. She won't stop nagging. I'm sorry, doll. She brushed his cheek with her palm, and he sighed at it. I don't know how long I could do this. How about I distract you for a little while? She began kissing down his neck. I wanted to hurl. What time is it? It's only 3. We have enough time for fun, and if she wants to come home early, we can stop at 5. Perfect. And with that, they kissed. She sat on top of him, and they began making out. I couldn't believe my eyes. They were sleeping together. Me and Perry and I hadn't been intimate in months because of his looming condition. And every time I pursued it, he would say he was too sore or tired. It should be the opposite. I'm the one busting my butt off. I flashed forward the video and saw Isabel going through my closet and belongings, trying on different outfits. And he revelled in it. He was sick. How did I ever fall in love with such a man with no class? I switched out the camera cards and played the rest. She was kissing him, sitting on his lap, touching him in places I'd rather not say. The worst account was when they were in the living room. She was sitting right on top of him. But when she saw my headlights through the living room window, she jumped up from him and sat across to the neighbouring couch. Perry, meanwhile, was fitting himself to look less aloof. I walked in there looking so oblivious, so dumb. After that, I was numb to what I had witnessed. What could be done? I worked 45 to 50 hours a week for this man, and for what? For him to cheat on me with a young, beautiful caretaker who's stealing my stuff. It made no sense, and I was sick of it. Once a month, Perry has to go to the doctor. Since I'm at work, that means Isabel takes him. He's occasionally told me they go out for lunch after. My mother raised me to never let a man walk all over me, so I took that chance and ran with it. I acted as if nothing had happened for the next few days, and when I came down to his doctor's appointment, I left work early. I packed up any belongings that I needed immediately. 2 of my best friends came over and they helped pack more significant things. I had 3 hours, and luckily I still had Perry's location on my phone. As for the larger furniture, I left it all there for the taking. I had extra cash on me now because I wasn't paying any doctor trips anymore. Nor was this technically my house. Everything was under his name. And so, that's what I did. Perry called me at 8:30, worried about my whereabouts because I hadn't come home from work. My friend Layla will be dropping by sometime next week to drop off divorce papers. What? We're done. Have fun trying to pay this month's payment. Oh, by the way, tell your girlfriend I reported her for inappropriate behaviour on the job. Perry and I settled in court. He, of course, kept the house because it was under his name. But did he actually keep it? No. He had to sell it, as he didn't work. Remember, I paid for everything. As for Isabel, she lost her job as a nurse when it was under investigation that she was providing Perry alcohol and was having relations while on the clock. The last I heard of Perry was he was living back with his parents, and he and Isabel didn't last long. I knew I could have done a lot worse to them, but hey, I just wanted to get even. What would you have done? Let me know in the comments below.